Hey guys, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home. Thank you for coming back to the channel. Today we've got a very exciting 4K review to do because it speaks towards a specific topic which I've covered a lot, and that is the difference between streaming quality and physical media, especially when it comes to 4K. And this is going to show exactly the big difference you can get versus streaming a TV show or a movie and then getting the better quality on a 4K disc. Now, today we're going to talk about Game of Thrones Season 8. I'm not going to dive into Season 8 as a whole. I know there's a ton of controversy out there about some people like it, some people hate it. There's a lot of different opinions. Not diving into that. But what I am going to focus on a lot is specifically Episode 3, which was The Long Night. Now, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones and you're planning on watching it, there are going to be some minor spoilers, maybe, in this review, so I would stay away from it until you're ready. But The Long Night, spoilers incoming, is the episode where they have the battle at Winterfell. And the real issue people had while streaming that was that it was such a dark episode. It all took place at night and there was very little lighting, so that people streaming had a ton of color banding, really bad black levels. Even if you had a really good OLED TV, the streaming just wasn't powerful enough. The bit rate wasn't good enough. You couldn't get enough quality passed through the stream to make up for it. And so a lot of people had a really poor experience with that episode specifically because of how dark it was. And so we're going to take a look at that one and really focus on that to show the difference between what streaming quality can do for you and what a physical 4K disc can do for you. I'm also going to talk about this set as a whole because it is a very nice set from HBO, so I'm excited to dive into it. Now, if you like this sort of stuff, 4K, Blu-ray, home theater, reviews, even technology, I dive into more. I'm going to be getting more into receivers, projectors, even stuff like headphones. I'm going to start to cover a lot more technology as it pertains to movies and home theater. And so if you like that stuff, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 20,000 before the end of 2019, so I'd appreciate it if you could help us hit that goal. Now, with that being said, let's dive into this review. So Game of Thrones Season 8 comes in this limited edition collectible box set. It has a steelbook. It also includes a collectible magnet, which is kind of cool, and it has the 4K and the Blu-ray plus a digital HD copy. So this release is interesting because HBO has only put out Season 1 of Game of Thrones on 4K, and they jumped right ahead to Season 8 to get that out on 4K. And they do include a Dolby Vision HDR formatted picture here, which is really nice. There's also HDR10, standard HDR, and they have Dolby Vision. And so it's a really premium release, especially for a show that was only streamed best quality at 1080p. You couldn't even stream it at 4K on HBO GO. So it's really exciting to check out. So I looked at the visuals and I jumped right to that episode, The Long Night, because I wanted to see if there was a noticeable difference between streaming and 4K disc. Of course, I already had a very good idea that there was going to be, but if you look at these pictures which I took, I'm going to pop these up on the screen. One of these pictures was from another user on the internet. It ended up in a couple of articles that were showing how bad it looked on their TV. And I experienced the same thing. I tried to watch this episode live on my projector and on my TV, and neither one of them, even on the 4K TV with really good black levels, could handle this low quality streaming and make it look good. And so in this first image, you'll see the color banding. You'll see how awful that picture looks. It's washed out. It's just terrible. You've got a bunch of pixelation and color banding. Terrible picture. I jumped ahead on the 4K disc, tried to get to that same scene and found it. And you'll see here now this picture, which shows you the big difference, the quality difference in 4K. You'll notice there's no color banding. And remember, this is me taking a picture of what my projector showed. And my projector doesn't even have as good of black levels as my TV. And so this is the projector, and you don't see any color banding. You don't see anything getting washed out. Then I put it on my 4K TV, and it was even a bigger improvement there. I don't have a picture of that, but just know that the black levels on this make that episode so much more enjoyable. If you want to re-watch Season 8 because you just couldn't get into Episode 3, and that was really the climax of the whole thing, like The other episodes, you know, say what you want, but that was my favorite, and I had a really hard time watching it. The 4K disc just makes it so much better. It makes it a really enjoyable experience, and it's really a shame that a lot of people got a really poor experience the first time around because of streaming, or even just the limitations of watching it on cable live. Just couldn't handle the darkness, and the director said, you know, that it is what it is. That's the way we shot it. If you had a good monitor, you'd be able to see it. Well, the problem is not the monitor, it's the streaming quality. I now have a good monitor, I have a good projector, a good TV, and when you give me a physical copy, it looks incredible. So the issue was streaming all along, and this 4K disc, the whole season looks great, especially the last few episodes, which take place, you know, in very bright areas. The HDR is a noticeable improvement, and there's an added level of detail here on the 4K versus the 1080p streams. That is, it's a big upgrade. You know, it's not as big an upgrade from Blu-ray to 4K, but if you watch this on streaming or on cable and you're going to 4K disc, what a difference. I mean, it's going to blow you away. Now, the audio, same thing. Because we get a Dolby Atmos track here, it's nicely mixed and it sounds so much better than the Dolby Digital 5.1 that you're getting output from your TV when you're streaming or when you're watching this live. I remember watching it. I was trying to watch it in my theater room with the surround sound on, and it just wasn't that powerful. I put on some of the scenes that really blew me away when I watched this live, and put it on the 4K disc, and that Atmos track is awesome. You gotta think, Game of Thrones, right? Dragons. Dragons flying overhead is so much better. The quality is so much better when you add an Atmos track and have those overhead effects. Also, battle sequences. There's stuff going on left, right, up, down, all over the place. With an Atmos object-based surround track, it is a much better experience. It feels much more like a Hollywood movie and not a TV show, which is really the treatment that Game of Thrones deserves, especially with some of its bigger scenes. It needs an Atmos track. It needs a 4K release. And I'm really happy that HBO has done it here for season 8. So the audio, it's a no-brainer to upgrade if you want a better audio experience. This is a brand new experience for me, both visually and audio-wise. It is just unbelievable, the difference between streaming cable and watching this on a 4K physical disc. Now, packaging, this comes in kind of a clear protective sleeve. It looks like something that some of you guys might use for your steelbooks. You can buy them on eBay and they kind of protect your steelbook. And then the top just pops open. And interestingly enough, the reason they use this is probably because it is a steelbook. And so this is the season 8 steelbook. You've got the, I don't know if there are different variants. I tried to look online. Obviously this hasn't come out yet. But Winterfell is the one that I got. I'm not sure if there will be other houses that you can get. And then popping open the steelbook, you're going to have 2 Blu-ray discs, disc 1 and disc 2, which has episodes 1 to 3 and then 3 to 6. And then the same thing for 4K with the first 3 episodes and then the second 3 episodes. Also has kind of a nice spine, the complete 8th season. You know, maybe they'll be doing more of these. The other cool thing you get is this magnet. It is the Winterfell house logo sigil. And it's actually pretty decent quality. It looks really cool. I was always Team Winterfell. I have Jon Snow's sword hanging over on my wall. So this will be a nice little addition to that. And that just pops right back into this plastic. I'm going to put it back in with the steelbook, and it all pops back in to this plastic case for easy protection. Oops, I put that in backwards. For easy protection, and you know, it makes for a pretty good display piece. Now, for special features, there's an in-episode guide for each episode. There's history and lore that you can dive into if you want to dive deeper into the Game of Thrones story. There are commentaries, deleted scenes. There are many behind-the-scenes featurettes. A lot of that stuff is available on YouTube or through HBO as well, but it's all here on the discs. And it includes the Game of Thrones The Last Watch documentary, which was really good. They showed that on HBO a few times. And I ended up missing it when it first came out. I saw it on a rerun, but having it here on the disc is really cool because it's a super cool documentary if you're a fan of the show, to see how it all wraps up and talking to all the different actors and actresses and producers and directors and writers and everyone who was involved in kind of culminating this, you know, 8-season run at the end with the last 6 episodes. It's a nice little wrap up to the whole series, so it's cool to see that included here. Like I said, there's also a digital HD copy, so you can share that with a friend, use it as a digital backup, do with that what you want, but it's nice to see that included as well. Although, like I said, the digital stream, even the digital physical copy, it's not a physical copy. I don't know what to call those, because it's a downloaded digital copy, which is better than a stream, but not as good as physical. But whatever, the digital copy won't be as good as the 4K disc. And so if you're going to watch that episode where it's really dark, don't do it on the digital HD. Get the 4K disc and really enjoy it. So that's about it. Thank you to HBO for sending this out. I'm glad to see that that episode wasn't poorly shot and it wasn't just poorly put together, that it really was the limitation of streaming services in cable TV right now not giving you the best experience. Popping this in 4K gave me a whole new appreciation for that episode. It really feels like such a good episode of TV, regardless of everything else that happened in that season. Episode 3, that battle at Winterfell, is incredible, so I highly recommend this set just for that. Getting the Steelbook is a very nice collectible, as well as the magnet. I love the packaging here. It's a little different from the other season sets, but I'm hoping to see more 4K stuff come from HBO. Hopefully the new Watchmen series. I know they've been doing Westworld, so they've been doing a lot of great work with their physical releases of their kind of flagship shows. So yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts were. If you're a Game of Thrones fan and you watched this live, that episode live, and you remember how dark it was, you know, take a look at the screenshot comparisons. I think that you'll really see a difference. But I'm also interested, I just want to know your guys' thoughts on season 8 in the series finale. So let me know in the comments. I didn't want to dive into it in this video, but I'm really curious what all my subscribers thought about it. So if you're a fan, let me know what you thought about the series as a whole, and especially season 8. Be interested to hear what you think. Remember to follow me on Instagram. Remember to follow me on Instagram. Check out all the links down in my description. There'll also be a link to purchase Game of Thrones 4K on Amazon. If you do order it through my link, I do get a little bit of extra commission for the channel. It's a very small percentage, but every bit helps keep content moving. And I'll be back very soon with some more reviews, more home theater, more technology, all kinds of good stuff coming. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.